with your boy Slick What Ifs. So, I was wondering what I should do for the part 2 since I already made part 2. I didn't like it, and I did not delete it. It just got deleted from my thing just to mess up on my phone. So, yeah. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, water. Okay, back to this. So in this version, in my version, the Saiyans they arrived. The other Z warriors are already there. Now, I know some of y'all might be confused about some stuff like why Yamcha, Krillin, because that makes no sense. In most cases, you're right, it wouldn't. But this is Goku being the only guy. So yeah. So, what happens whenever Goku winds up stopping? And by stopping, I mean he just stops, like, he doesn't do anything, he just stops right there where he is. When he just lands, he just says, nah, too weak. His power level reads 19,000 without using any power-ups. Bardock has a power level of 18,000. Raditz has a power level of 17,000. And Guinea, 16,000. So the only two people who could actually defeat, what is his name? I mean her name, Vegeta? That's right, the girl version of Vegeta. The only two people that could beat the girl version of Vegeta would be Goku and Bardock, which with Bardock it'd be an even fight unless Kaioken was involved, which, well, probably would be involved. So yeah. Though Kaioken seems to be a very too difficult technique, and with the Kai, whenever they weren't training, there was just, y'all know what was going on. So he has a half Kai, half Saiyan child too. Zed wound up staying with Kaioshin, though everyone knows about the half Saiyan child, but Goku, he knows that it takes about 2 hours for him to run the entire Wave Snake Way, so if he wants to visit his kid, he has to get teleported there by Kami, run the entire Wave Snake Way, and then run back after speaking with his kid. So yeah, it's pretty difficult, but he could do it. So whenever he sees the Saiyans, he just thinks, and they said something that really ticked him off. Your kids die if you don't do what we say. Goku just saying, alright, as he powers up to his full strength, towering over all of them, and yelled, buff up. Didn't really yell buff up, just buffed up. Yelled while buffing up, and just got giant in muscles, which some of y'all may know this because I'm using this part from a video I saw, which I will use other videos I've seen for parts of it, for parts of my what ifs. So when Bardock was trying to stop Frieza, Bardock threw an attack, and it just, sorry about that guys, went Super Saiyan right before connecting. Went Super Saiyan as the attack hit, but still wasn't enough. So Bardock can use Super Saiyan and knows what it is. And the legend of it. So Goku, he hasn't got Super Saiyan, but Bardock is learning somewhat how to use it, though Kaioken is much easier for Bardock to use. Although Kaioken is difficult to use anyway, so yeah. So Goku learned how to he has false Super Saiyan already. After training, he can use false Super Saiyan quite easily, but he can't use full Super Saiyan without being completely enraged. And it happens. A beam goes flying directly through the one that by the name goes through the kids. The power levels are all 2,000, so this attack, while not very powerful, still dangerous. And when the kid gets completely pierced by it, thinking they're going to die, Goku, enraged, just starts just wind up going full Super Saiyan and grabs Nappa by the neck, Nappa being the one who threw the attack, as Vegeta throws more attacks trying to hurt the kids more because Goku's the only one that they think they're going to overtake him with threats to kill his kids. Though Goku, being so enraged, just catches Vegeta and shatters Vegeta's shoulder. Which is basically how this fight's gonna go. Nappa getting thrown around, Tarble being completely useless but still throwing and fighting, and then you have Vegeta being somewhat better off, but still getting absolutely destroyed with Super Saiyan activated. And Goku was already buffed up, so he had the power of like the Great Ape form already, which is making him 190,000. Let me put that in comparison. Vegeta's Great Ape form in canon was 180,000. That's an entire 10,000 beneath where Goku was. And then you have the 50 times multiplier of Super Saiyan. So you can already imagine how much stronger that Goku is. Not the full. Although I'm going to say through pure bloodlust winds up actually. I'll consider making him kill. He won't wind up killing. Yeah, he will wind up killing Nappa. But they notice they're going to need all the Saiyans they can get for the fight. Which the Dragon Balls had just been gathered. So they really couldn't do anything. So once they notice that they're going to need all the help they can get to defeat Frieza. But Tarble, Vegeta, and Nappa's scouters are all still there intact. Completely intact. Because the whole over 9,000 thing wasn't stated. And just because I want to say there was a saying over 9,000. Just because it seems funny. And Goku goes back down into base form. Doesn't even collapse. He's just fine. Though the buff form did slow him down. Sorry about that, guys. The buff form did slow him down, but it didn't really stop him. It just made his power level so much more with his hits, but so much slower. Which, there's people who have barely more power than you and are slower than you. There's people with more power levels and being slower, and there's people who are just fast and very weak. But then you have people like Goku who just gets their speed cut in half when they use certain techniques. Though the buff form is mainly just to add a lot more kick to a hit. You're doing it when you're throwing a giant blast, or when you're throwing a punch and you're right in there about to connect. Buff up to get the full power of the punch into it. But right now, Goku is not doing any of that, being that the buff form made it where it was weird, but Super Saiyan just kind of at the end, just exhausting. And Bardock recognized it, so Bardock kind of just said, "That's Super Saiyan." And saying that Bardock had already used it, though couldn't really maintain it. Goku, intrigued by this, has an idea. As he starts training with Super Saiyan, but he did hear something off their scouters. "You foolish monkeys betraying me, just because one of your own died. Pathetic." Though not quite really died, just more gravely injured. Nappa did not really die, just completely destroyed physically, so it'll take a senzu bean. Goku offers the senzu bean, saying, "But don't ever hurt my kids again." Which, he's a nice guy, but yeah, he's very easy to anger when someone messes with his kids. So he winds up being able to tap back into Super Saiyan at will. He goes into the time chamber. Bulma says it'll take a month for her to get a ship ready to go there, and it should only take 5 days to get there. But Vegeta says that he has a ship that can get there in about a week. So does Popo, And Popo says, what about Kame? What about Kame's? And because Kame didn't really mention it. And then you hear, what about my space pod? And they're like, oh yeah, there are already a lot of spaceships here already. Well, we made 2 more, but I made 2 more models after the one that Goku had. Because Goku already gave it to her to mess with. And then you have, like, Tarble saying, we have enough. We have 3 and 3, so we have 6 of them, and we have 6 Saiyans here. We could fly there all as just the Saiyan party and start fighting there. And Goku says, nah, we'd get destroyed at the moment. But he has an idea and says, well, we can speed him up with Ki, and when we get there, we can train on there. And the gravity room and a miniature time kind of chamber. If you're wondering how there's a time chamber, well, thanks to what I'm thinking is just making it happen is there's a machine that's made to do it. Machine made to do it. There's a time kind of room that they can create. It's kind of like a capsules version of the hyperbolic time chamber, the room of spirit and time. But, nah, I'm not gonna say that there's one of those. But they think, if Ki can make them faster, doesn't that mean that we could just put our Ki into it and get really fast there? Get there fast, and we can use the gravity version there and all the sense beams we have? Goku says, good idea, and then says, is there a place we can put something in here? And Vegeta says, yes, there's a cup holder to hold anything you're drinking or anything needed. Goku says, cool, that's good enough, as he just grabs a little bit of, he grabs a plant that's the same size, and he says, oh, here. Like what? It's a senzu bean plant. You can get fed while being there, but with these. And Raditz says, good to call. I'm gonna say Goku knows how to, like, make more. He can literally just use soil and add more plants. Soil and just bury 1 bean and it makes like 5 in about a month. Although Goku can make multiple, like, he can sprout them faster using Ki. So he winds up using half his Ki up, basically getting the dynamic really fast with, like, blitzing speeds. Though he kind of crash landed the same way he had on Earth, only a little slightly different when he landed. He basically smashed directly into a mountain. That's what caught him. A giant mountain just caught his ship once he had let off the gas. So he said, well, that's totaled. What am I going to do with it? Without any thoughts of what he's going to do to his ship that got completely wrecked. I mean, it can be fixed completely, and with as much as it's worth, it's probably not totaled, but it just needs to be banged back in, which he could use Ki to fix it, but it would just be very difficult. So he just says, I'll leave it to Bulma when I get back there. And he's the only one who gets there. It takes about 2 days for the rest of them to get there using all their Ki, because Goku was able to power up into Super Saiyan, Kaioken, buff form, throwing the Ki at that. So he went into all that, all but the Great Ape, and started just sending Ki flying into it, to where he blasted there basically instantly. It took about an hour, while everyone else took about a day. And they all were pretty close to each other the whole time as they were flying at the same speeds. Tarble, noticing that Tarble knows that she is the weakest, so she has an idea. She thinks about the transformations that Saiyans could do, and just starts. And while everyone else was going at the same speed of the normal ship because they didn't want to have to, like, blast there really, really fast, Tarble put Ki into it. Actually, it asked for Goku to make a little Ki ball for that. And Goku says, I understand. As Goku says, your Ki would get drained too fast and you couldn't keep up. Here. As it's a ball of Ki that's about half of Goku's Ki. If you're wondering how he can use so much up with Ki, he can regain it quite fast. So he used half, and then when he got in there after an hour, he was already about a quarter of the way filled up. So he only had a quarter of the tank he needed, and he just used half. So yeah. So he gained a little bit to where he had half of his ki again, and he just trains the whole time. So and every time he eats a senzu bean, his strength increases, and he gets better mastery over using ki because every time he just fills it up, fills it up, fills it up, no problem. And then Tarble gets there second in about an hour after Goku. In the gravity chamber, Goku Tarble knocked, and you have Goku just stops his training and saying, yeah. And Tarble says, hey, I need more training. And they do some special training before any of the other Saiyans gets there. So they do two kinds of training, physical fighting training and special training. Though Vegeta getting there about an hour after them, and the only reason that Bardock and Gine aren't getting there as fast is because their ships. Because Bulma had like them really close to being finished, so she was gonna finish them and then you fix up the other ships, the two ships they had, or just fix up the what's it called? Or just fix up the weird Namekian ship, or she could just make the gravity chamber ship, which she already had the knowledge of gravity and all that. Sorry if something popped up. Give me a second. So yeah, I'm back. I just had to look at something. So Goku, once he's and Vegeta walks in thinking it's just gonna be the gravity room, which is actually a full house, with the gravity being in a big room the and the entire bedding and everything being in different rooms. And there's multiple rooms. It's basically just a house. Goku, as Vegeta starts hearing not creaking noises, which when Vegeta heard this was wondering what it was, then hearing moaning. Vegeta goes to see what it is as Vegeta walks in on Goku and Tarble, the girl version of Tarble, so yeah. And Vegeta launches a ki attack, for one reason or another being jealousy, as Goku just tanked it in the back and kept going. And then when he finishes, he just turns around saying, really, Vegeta? Really? I could blow this entire planet up with a swing and you couldn't do anywhere half of that, so why are you doing this? And you have Vegeta saying, like, something like kind of like funny. It was like Baka or something, and Goku just says, no, 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 no. No, I'm not dealing with that right now. Get on the bed. Vegeta listens. Goku finishes with Vegeta, and then they both get eat a senzu bean and say, "Are you ready?" And Goku's just like, "Oh no." As he goes to grab a senzu bean, they just like, "Nope," slap it away from his hand. He has to use a special senzu bean he has to hide. Eats it and just goes bump ba bum ba ba. Ready for anything? As he just powers fully back up, cracking his neck, saying, "No one's stronger than me, haha." And he winds up going Super Saiyan while doing it. And when he's done with the Sister Saiyans, he walks away from it like it's no big deal, and goes into the room on the other side of the building after eating a sensu, goes to the gravity room and starts training in there. Which was basically just standard training for Goku, but with like a lot of heavier gravity. While talking to King Kai about it, Goku wondered, hey, King Kai, what are we gonna do? I mean, I can't really just do that. And then Goku had an idea because he wound up seeing a planet on the way, saying, "I saw a planet. What was that?" And the memory gets shared to King Kai, Queen Kai, really, and gets told that is Planet Yardrat. It's a building. It's an entire planet of people with weird techniques, one of them being instantaneous movement, in other ways known as instant transmission. This instant transmission is just basically putting your fingers to your forehead, feeling the key, seeing it, and then just appearing there. Goku, noting that that's what it is, thinks, when this whole thing blows over, he's gonna go there. Though it is a lot of girls, though it is basically a planet of women, which Goku becomes king over every one of them in a single night. And when he is done, he leaves. And he already has mastered the techniques and this is after fighting Frieza. So here's what happened. You hear Goku say, "My power level is 30 million." Frieza not believing it, but still wanting to be cautious, winds up grabbing the Ginyu Force, Sarabanda Doria, King Cold, and even Cooler are called because Frieza, if there's any chance, doesn't want to lose. So they all get into their full powered forms of 200 million, though Cooler just says, whatever, and just powers up to the full power, which towers over it. And then you have King Cold going into the same power that Cooler does. Just goes in the same power Frieza's using because can't use that form, I guess. I'm going to say that. And whenever they start training, and these three are not training, but Goku is training with the two Saiyans. And when Goku, looks at them, and the people who are of the group of Frieza are training the whole time, the Ginyu Force, which there is the Armored Guard, a 4-person Armored Guard, a 3-person Armored Guard, the Cooler's 3 people, and King Cold's 4 people. The Ginyu Force just got back from a mission from Namek, from Yard Rat, so they weren't very far away, though now that there is 9, 10, 11, 15 people going at Goku, he has to deal with all that, which is quite exhausting for him, but he winds up still doing it. And in the end, collapses. Though, once he's done fighting these 15, he notices that they were all pretty weak, and says, which, the way he wound up doing it was grabbing Cooler, Frieza, and Queen Cold, and just sent them all flying back using Solar Flare, and Goku taught, Vegeta and Tarble what to do whenever he uses Solar Flare. Close your eyes. Though Goku was saying close your eyes as he just uses it, alerted Cooler, so Cooler closes her eyes and then says, "That wasn't very difficult to do." And then goes at Goku with all the power, which Goku seems to be at a disadvantage. So Goku winds up using the buff up form, which is, depending on when you use it, makes the power different. Like, if you were to use Kaioken in base and then go to Super Saiyan, you would just get a 50 times multiplier whatever you were. Which means that if you just go into Super Saiyan and then multiply with the 50 times, then you use Kaioken, it's a much more useful thing. So yeah. So once Goku winds up destroying the entirety of, he's fighting these 3 and yells to them to take on the rest, which, if you're wondering why he's having him take on those 2 take on 6 each while he only takes on 3, well, remember the power difference. They don't even have 100,000 power level. If you're thinking, hey, didn't those 2 have way less? You're right, they do. And so, and this is right before the others land. Nappa lands and just goes to fight, but winds up being utterly useless, even using Cybermen, which is weird to use. Goku saying, "I think I can make those better," as he throws Ki into it with them, and they're asking why. And then you have Super Cybermen that has the power level of 40,000. And then you have Raditz landing right before Bardock and Gine land, which when they all land, it's like, this is gonna be good. And they were all training with their power, and Zarbon and Dodoria are just like completely outmatched because these are very elite guards. And there was one that was like a woman in canon that I'm going to say winds up joining Goku. Sorry about that. Winds up joining Goku just because of a change in heart. Besides, didn't really kind of hated King Cold. Winds up just like launching an attack at the team, the people against the others. When Goku sees that someone went against them, seeing one of their own, flying away, launching attacks with them, saying, "I betrayed them. Well, we could use all the help we get." And now you have like one person on that level, and you have like then you have all the others landing. Which when the humans and Piccolo land, you have popping of the neck and a monsters a fight. And the whole fight or flight situation tends to happen, and Krillin has enough strength to wind up punching Ginyu and cracking Ginyu's face. And then Ginyu uses body change technique, trying to use it on Goku, who hasn't gone Super Saiyan yet. And Goku's about to get hit by this, and he just has an idea. With Krillin being smart, picks up a frog right next to her and yeets, and basically throws it. Well, while I did say yeet, basically just throws it. I said yeet because it seems funny to me. Threw it right in front of the blast, so Ginyu and the frog wound up switching places. Then Goku just cracks his knuckles, saying, "Switch back," and saying you have two choices: either I step on you or I fight you. Which, being that you got turned into a frog right before the whole turning back into yourself thing happens, Vegeta and Tarb wind up both putting a hand through the body of Captain Ginyu that has a frog in it right as the blast hits. So the frog didn't feel any pain, but Captain Ginyu felt all the pain of having two holes in the chest. So Goku just cracks his neck as he just says, "Everyone, get out of here." They ask why. Goku says because something's going to happen as he powers up into Super Saiyan. But then Frieza, Cooler, and King Cold all throw an attack that Goku couldn't really stop, and wound up stabbing completely through the women there, which was kind of the people he was with, which Frieza had already done some stuff, and Piccolo wound up still absorbing Nail. Then Piccolo arrives, seeing it, being completely in shock and anger, throws a Masenpo, I think it's called. Masenpo! Yeah, I think that's it. And Special Beam Cannon, and winds up connecting completely with Frieza, though didn't really do anything. And a Destructo Disc was the last thing Krillin did, which basically meant that Destructo Disc, as it flies, getting completely stopped as death happens. Goku being enraged, seeing this, winds up hitting all of them completely like they all thought they were going to die. And they weren't getting any mercy from Goku. Goku actually did think he killed them, chopped them all in half, kind of ripped them apart, and sent a blast at them where they should have died. But then they all leave, which one of the Frieza Force ships comes, and it's just holding low-leveled warriors, as they wind up healing the three that Goku absolutely wrecked. And in this version, when they were recuperating, they said he was too strong. We have to train. As King Cold and Frieza said, "Why would we train? We don't need to be stronger. We got absolutely wrecked as a 3-on-1. We need to train." Good point. And they all start training, and Frieza gets the golden form, which when they'd wound up killing them, Goku went he went above Super Saiyan. He went to Super Saiyan 2. Scratched the point of Super Saiyan 3, but didn't quite go into it because it was just too powerful. Wound up absolutely wrecking them all with single swings. Which means that the only one who could have possibly prevented this was them. They literally could have just said, "Nope, not gonna fight that," and then ran away. But they had to fight a Super Saiyan. Then angered it and becoming a Super Saiyan 2. And all the kids have learned about Super Saiyan and think about it. And wind up being able to somewhat use it, though not to a very full extent. Though the people who have the most ease using it is Gohan. Out of the children, it's just Gohan. The one with the name Asta, which is the kid of Yamcha. Naruto, the one with the name of Naruto, and the one with the name of Izuku. If you've noticed, they all have one thing from their mothers. A single letter. Yamcha has an A at the end of it, and Asta has an A at the end of it. Tien Shinhan has a N, and, well, Naruto starts with an N. And then you have, Izuku, which is the kid of Krillin, and Krillin, with a K, Izuku, with a K, has a K in it as well. So yes, that is how they are named. And they just mainly have somewhat similar personalities to Goku, which is very brave and kind, which that's about it. So yeah. But they land back on Earth. They wind up going back to Earth. Goku visited Yarjat, became the king there because of his powers and all that, and learned all their techniques, and then left. But being that he has instant transmission and they all have power levels that he easily can read from across the multiverse, he has no problem sensing them from like light years away and then just teleporting there in an instant. Which, if any of them want to speak with Goku, they just slightly raise they can raise their power level to a slight amount above. They go to their full power to show Goku, come here, which is basically all they need to do. Although they have a communicator, which, if you're wondering how they're getting a communicator, logic. It's just space logic. There's a communicator on Frieza's ships, which Goku wound up taking one before Namek was blown up, which still happened because, well, they were just being petty and wanted to blow the planet up with them. So yeah, they wind up having a planet blow up as they die. But once all of them wound up once everyone had left, even that one that chose to join and betray the cold people, one of the King Cold ships wound up coming in hot, and this is right after Goku becomes out of view because, if Goku saw this, he might actually blow it up. As he sort of just disappears with his little busted up space pod that he had flown in there on. So once he leaves, makes it to there in about a week, he's been able to learn instant transmission and teleport. Though he can't do it as precise as he wants to, but he can still do it. So anyway, they get there. These three robotic versions happen. Goku in this version has transmissions with a ship in his hand, so he just goes, "Surprise, bitch!" One hit to each of them, knocking them all out. And then he just disappears. And once all of them disappear, and once all of them wind up being killed, Trunks actually helped. Future Trunks. Which Goku asks, did any of the others survive? And he pointing at all his kids, and you hear no. He was the last survivor. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Goku does his thing. Hold on. And wound up, talking to Trunks, and finding out about the others, and being that Trunks had already been born, was a little bit older. So, yeah. And all the children were learning in Goku, and they all learned Super Saiyan. As Vegeta had trouble using it, but could still somewhat use it as a kind of somewhat similar to the Universe 6 Saiyans, though not quite as well. And Goku's just never seen it. The only men he's ever seen were his children, which kinda doesn't really matter. And then there was the Cell game thing still happens as Goku straight up just wrecks Cell, being able to go into Super Saiyan 2 already, which the Heart Virus thing still happens, and they trade more intense, so Goku's actually able to go up into Super Saiyan 3 and learns about 4 one day. So, talks about being able to go into 4, and Bulma still makes the device, and Goku's able to use it. Though, but what it takes to get him to go back to normal is everyone called out to him. All his wives, all his wives called out to him, and he just goes back to normal. Somewhat normally goes into the Super Saiyan 4 form, and then collapses down into base, saying that he had to make Super Saiyan 3 his base before he did anything, but he first needed to do Super Saiyan 2. And he trains with Super Saiyan, and it's already like his base, Super Saiyan 2, scratching around being like the base, but once he masters that, he goes to Super Saiyan 3, using it like your base is very difficult. Goku saying, okay, done. And he's able to spend hours in it, but eventually he's able to just have no drawback. And then the final one being Super Saiyan 4, he can tap into and grew his tail back. He didn't cut off his tail, it just that he usually just uses it like a belt. And when he's done, he winds up just being able to use Super Saiyan 4, and he found 5 when pure anger happens, because Cell was strong enough to wind up killing a lot, and when he saw all the people that he had that Cell tried to kill, actually wound up blowing a hole in all of them. I was wondering what I mean by all of them. He wound up blowing a hole in all the Saiyan, wound up blowing a hole in all Goku's women. This enraging Goku just goes into Super Saiyan 3, goes into Super Saiyan, him being already in Super Saiyan 4, thinking this was going to be Cell's last act. Cell just did that and tries using the instant transmission, but doesn't really work, as the instant transmission just gets completely countered by Goku just going right behind you, right behind you, right behind you, every time a teleport happens. Okay, I'm back anyway, so hold on. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, Goku just winds up defeating Cell in the middle of space with a giant bomb on Earth. Goku saying nope and goes in the center of space, takes a giant explosion and just disappears, and they think he's dead. Goku enraged, saying nope, as he had wound up instant transmission to King Kai's world before dying, threw Cell into the middle of space, then blast into King Kai's world with another teleport, though wound up getting his arms singed very badly. And King Kai already had senzu beans planted there because Goku planted some, because noticing that maybe King Kai would like them. King Kai was very intrigued, that's why it was allowed, so gave Goku a senzu bean as Goku got up, saying, exhausting, but okay. And then And then Goku goes into what he was doing, which was, once this happens, he keeps training for years. He had unlocked Super Saiyan 5 as if it was his base, and he asked if there were any other transformations since he couldn't find any. He hears yes, there is some. There is Super Saiyan Blue, there's Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, otherwise known as Super Saiyan Blue. There is two forms, Super Saiyan God, a redhead state, and one above it that is just it with the power of a Super Saiyan added onto it. And then you have the ones that are just amplifiers of that, which is like the same thing but with a 2, a 3, a 4, and then a 5. But you can't combine God Ki and 5 very easily. When you do, you get an unstoppable force, even a monster. And then you hear, okay. And when they hear unstoppable force, possibly even a monster, Goku just says, I'm not gonna use that. Then you have this thing called, and that's all that Shinron can say. As Goku trained like a monster to get there, was able to and he's already stronger than he was. Like his base form is stronger than Super Saiyan 4, than Super Saiyan 5, than Super Saiyan 4 was after GT. And there's a version of it, something where it was like the Legend of Super Saiyan 5, where Gohan had obtained Super Saiyan 5. That is how, like, strong he is. He's strong as them, and that is in base, using Super Saiyan 5. That's his power in base. So when he winds up being able to finish using his power, he winds up going back to the Kaio world and offered there being a way to Earth. Talks about instant transmission, teaches instant transmission, so anytime King Kai or any of them or the kid wants to see Goku, just instant transmissions to Goku, and he'll be able to get there, and they'll be there to him in an instant. So he's told them to have her check it first because of reasons. If it was alright, then the kid could check it and go there. So once Goku is done with his training, Boo happens, which I'm going to cover the whole Gohan school and Boo in part 3.